A candy-colored clown they call
Candyman.
tiptoes to my room every night, and just to sprinkle stardust and to whisper, go to sleep, everything is all right. I close my eyes, then I drift away into the magic night. Then I fall asleep to dream my dreams of you. In dreams I walk with you. In dreams you're mine. All of the time we're together. In dreams, in dreams.
I'm not saying you should subscribe because of poorly made, unironic AMVs, but it wouldn't hurt. Welcome back to Adventures in Improvised Green Screen. Welcome to Proper Horror Show. I am once again talking about the near perfection of the original Candyman film, released in 1992. Jordan Peele and Nia Dacosta, they have a lot to live up to. Inevitably, massive spoilers for Candyman will follow. Jordan Peele and Nia Dacosta are making a reboot/sequel to the near-perfect 1992 horror film Candyman. It is my favourite horror film of all time, and so I have very high expectations and standards for anything related to the Candyman franchise. I've made a couple of videos sort of expressing my concerns about the particular filmmakers approaching this, and I wanted to sort of add to this by not being negative about what might happen in the sequel, but by looking back at the original and talking about something that it did amazingly. Candyman is undoubtedly my favourite horror film of all time, and there are so many reasons why I feel that this sequel is going to fall far short. One of them that I really want to talk about is the fact that Candyman is very much a revolutionary horror film. It is genre-defying, it is breaking convention. So even if you're an established horror fan, Candyman is going to surprise and delight you. But stop. Okay, now before Rian Johnson throws his back out and then looks up rib removal surgery in order to adequately self-congratulate, I need to point out the ground rule here. Just because you've subverted expectations or broke a genre rule, it doesn't mean that your film is good. Equally, the fact that something is very conventional and very much in line with the standard film doesn't mean that it's bad. Defying expectations, breaking the rules, and surprising people, it can work, but it doesn't necessarily do that. A really simple film with a basic plot can, just by being stylistically inventive or well acted or having an amazing soundtrack, it can still be absolutely amazing. Just look at Halloween for an example of that. So with that said, I'm going to talk about how Candyman subverted the expectations of horror, broke the rules, and was still a triumph.
Jesus Christ, you don't know the rules?
First off, check out the location. Now, in your classic horror film, you are really removed from everyday life. You were talking about castles, manors, deserted villages, all that sort of stuff. You go into more contemporary horror, and we're talking suburbs, something a bit more relatable, small towns. But actual inner cities, that is really rare. Now, Candyman's made in 1992. Thinking back, I can think of only a short scene in Dawn of the Dead and maybe David Cronenberg's Rabid that were set heavily in apartment blocks. This isn't the same ghetto projects that Cabrini Green is in. Most of the audience is not going to be very familiar with this kind of setting. They're going to be far more happy relating to the university or Helen's flat. My cat is about to make a lot of noise. Hey Gatsby! Following on from talking about where things are set, let's talk about how things are set. Now, one of the biggest conventions of all of horror is that bad stuff happens in the dark. Black and white films that automatically have this sort of dark feel to them, And when you go into modern films, the convention is kept up. So much is set in the dark and at night. Trying to think of exceptions, there's Halloween, which was building tension during the day, but even so, everything in Haddonfield went down after dark. Now, on the rewatch that you totally need to do, pay attention to how much of Candyman is set in daylight or in brightly lit apartments. It is a real risk of horror to show you all the detail, to not cloud things in darkness and open things up to the sort of fear of what you can't quite make out. It is a very bold move. In Candyman, it absolutely paid off. Here it had the effect of showing that even in this brightly lit apartment, Helen wasn't safe. Do you know how innovative it is for Candyman to set this first encounter in a parking garage in daytime? My cat again. Yes! Good lad. Now let's also take a moment to note Tony Todd's appearance as Candyman. Now he is proudly on screen. He's not deformed, he's not masked. His costuming is deliberately invoking elements of black culture, but it is Tony Todd's amazing delivery and presence that makes this work so well.
This is a little deeper than your average horror film, and I enjoyed it a little more.
I enjoyed the setup. When the Candyman arrives, the guy looks like, frankly, a pimp from one of these 1970 blaxploitation pictures in a very bad coat with this hook.
Yeah, he does. Do you think that might have been deliberate? Do you think that might have been highly related to some messaging in the film? Nah, it'll be fine. That Candyman does that and makes it work. Like I said, film is near perfection. Also controversially, you are 43 minutes and 57 seconds into the film before you even see Candyman. That is some patience. And this is in addition to another unusual, though not completely unique aspect. Now related to this is another fairly innovative, though I've got to admit not unique aspect of the film. I don't mind saying because we're very deep into spoiler country here, and frankly, you should have seen Candyman already. Get on that. Candyman's amazing. The original Candyman really plays the long game in making you doubt whether Candyman even exists outside of Helen's head. You cannot be certain until deep into the final act. In fact, until this scene.
The night you were admitted, did the killer appear to you?
Now, directly prior to this, Helen is in an asylum asserting that Candyman is real. No one's believing her. She is sounding crazy. Helen's in an asylum asserting that Candyman is under the bed. This could not be more calculated to invoke childish fears of monsters under the bed. It is deliberately meant to be unbelievable. And then, on top of this, it is in the scene that it is really put to the test. Concrete, objective evidence of whether Candyman exists or not. They show you that camera footage and things do not look good for our heroine. Seeing this security footage of her, this is a film walking us right up to the line. This is 1 hour and 11 minutes into a 1 hour and 35 minute story. This is happening 24 minutes from the end of the film. Yeah, they really keep you waiting here. In summary, this was made in 1992 during the sort of peak of derivative horror sequels and franchises with diminishing returns. When this came out, some of the best known franchises were on their third, fourth or fifth outing, and with diminishing returns each time. Horror films are starting to take themselves less seriously and frankly playing to a crowd that views them as ridiculous. So for a film to come out and take it seriously and be doing something complex, layered and original and denying certainty until the 11th hour to the audience who may have just wanted to see a regular slasher fic, that is brave, and the success is absolutely triumphant there. As I said, the original Candyman is near perfection. Tony Todd kills it. Virginia Madsen is excellent. Jordan Peele, Nia Dacosta, your move. Thanks very much for watching. I hope that was interesting. I'm really keen on the analytical side of horror and looking a little deeper into things. And I've been thinking a lot about horror films that effectively break the rules and do it really well. If this goes well, I might do some more of these. If you enjoyed this video and the analysis, I would really appreciate it if you left a like here, and especially if you would leave a comment and tell me what you thought about Candyman breaking the rules of horror and if there was another way that I missed in this. And of course, new subscribers are always welcome. If you've watched a couple of my videos and you enjoyed them, I would really like you to subscribe to this channel. Thanks very much, y'all. Tschüss!
Real Horrorshow!
This chap had a lot to say. You had so much to say when we were recording, didn't you? You have strong feelings about Candyman.